This computer happening. Today we are here to talk about Hylo vision and demo. So this is a three-parter. I'm going to first run through a deck that I've presented many times to different audiences about what Hylo is from a really high level, what we're working on, why we're doing it, how we're doing it. And then we're going to do an in-depth demo brought to you by Tibet, so that all of you with varying degrees of familiarity with the Hylo interface can learn a little bit about how it works and what you can do. And then we're going to have discussion and answer questions around these things. The purpose is to convey an understanding of Hylo's strategy and functionality to the team. The outcome is for all of you to have a better sense of the platform and to feel more comfortable explaining it. And we have another Tom. And the process is what I just outlined. And a particular question and inquiry to have in mind as we go through this is, how do we want to use Hylo as a team? Something for us to decide on together. So I'm going to share my screen and get started. And this should only take about 10 to 15 minutes. So only a little bit of monologue. I wish I had two screens set up. This would be a really good time for that. Okay, cool. Can you all see my slide? Mm-hmm. All right, so Hylo. We call it the social coordination platform for a thriving planet because it is so much more than social media or social networking. This is a place for purpose-driven groups to come together based on shared interests, like building soil, or shared identity, like the people of the Bay Area bioregion, and then achieve their goals as a group. And the stewards of Hylo are Terran Collective, all of us. And Terran is a community of care and practice in the Bay Area of Northern California. And what we do is build systems and tools for a regenerative future. Our mission is to amplify cooperation among people regenerating our communities and our planet. And to do that, we need really good tools. We need technology that can help us. And we call this technology for thriving as a category. And this is our approach to Hylo and what we hope Hylo will help us with. So our theory of change around what is needed to move to a regenerative future and what technology can do to help us get there is really all about relationships and trust. We want to help communities build relationships and strengthen trust because we see these things as keys to unlocking collective sense-making, choice-making, and action. So there's really like a scaffolding that we see communities going through if they use a platform like Hylo. So by interacting through requests and offers and sharing resources and meeting the needs of people in your community, that builds relationships and that builds trust because you have literally come through and helped someone with something in their life that is tangible. And that, to us, is where trust comes from. And so once you have a basis of trust, that means that it's much easier to align on how we see reality. And one way to describe that is with the term sense making. So if we have a field of strong trust, it's much easier for us to engage in collective sense making and understand what is true and what is needed at this time to take care of our communities. And so with that shared understanding of reality, then we can move forward and make decisions together about what is the best way to take action here, to care for our community, to steward shared resources, and make all kinds of decisions as a community. And those decisions get us towards coordinated, impactful action. So once we make the decision about how we can be caring for our communities, then we can all take that action together because we've created this coherent field of trust and understanding. So this is really an evolution for groups to go on and to evolve their culture to be able to do all of these things together. And at a very deep level, we hope that Hylo will help groups go on this cultural evolution so that they can be very impactful with their goals. So what are some of those goals that someone might use Hylo for? We really see Hylo being powerful for mutual aid, which really just means people in a community meeting each other's needs directly rather than having to go through the market to purchase things or through the state to get the government to come in and help with something. Peer-to-peer organizing and peer-to-peer aid has been how we have thrived as humans for hundreds of thousands of years. And at this point in history, having a tech tool that can help us meet each other's needs can be a really powerful way for us to care for each other. And this is both like everyday needs, like, oh, my plum tree has too many plums, come take the extra plums. But also, I've just suffered a wildfire and I need help cleaning up my property. Can people help me come and put, oh gosh, what are those called? The socks of
Spales.
Socks. What is it?
Oh,
I was thinking.
I thought you were going to talk about spales.
Well, so you can implement these compost socks around a burn mark that keeps the toxins in from flooding into the landscape. So it's like, my property just suffered a wildfire. I need the community now to come and help me do wildfire remediation in order to take care of my land and the land around me. So putting out the call for like ecosystem restoration help, because that is also a mutual aid activity. Another big example that we like to talk about is food security. So we have a centralized industrialized food system, and that is very fragile and very subject to disruption, and will be more and more so as we see extreme weather happening. So creating resilient local food systems is key to thriving communities. And Hylo is a great way for communities to organize, to share local food, and support our local land stewards in having their needs met and helping each other as well. So those are two themes that we really like to address with Hylo and hope communities will use Hylo for. And one of the biggest themes to talk about for what Hylo is all about is place-based organizing. So we really approach all of this work through the lens of the bioregion. And a bioregion is an emergent membrane that is expressed by the land itself. So a mountain range, a watershed, the Bay Area defined by the San Francisco Bay and the deltas of all the rivers that feed into it. The people that live in the Bay Area, because we share this landscape, we're in a community together. And this is true for bioregions all around the world. And as the people who share a landscape, it's really important that we are able to care for each other in this landscape. So that means we need the tools to self-organize, and we need to coordinate action to care for the land upon which we all equally depend. And so we call that bioregional coordination. And ultimately, we hope that tools like Hylo will help bioregions become coherent, collectively governed regions. And that is a path towards planetary regeneration. So ultimate goal. So, I'm not even done yet. So because we care so much about place-based organizing, one of the first things we implemented when we received stewardship of Hylo was the Geographic Map. Thank you, Tom, on this call for all your contributions to the map. And so this is a really unique feature for any kind of social tool to actually have a map. And at a very basic level, the map helps us understand who's doing what where. And that is great for people that want to plug in and contribute, because then you can see what ongoing efforts are happening in your area and learn what you could be a part of. So we have a lot of plans for the map. We want to weave in ecological data, hydrology, land use patterns, and indigenous territories, among many other things. And that will educate members of Hylo by exposing them to information about the land they live on. And that builds something that we call bioregional intelligence, like really understanding about our landscape. All right, so there are a lot of values that are driving how we build Hylo. And the how of Hylo is very, very important to us, just as important as the what of what we're building. So these are the design principles for Hylo that emerged amongst our team when we started collaborating on this project. It was clear that we had some shared values that were really driving us here. So really important is 7-generation thinking, which is 7 generations is a way of thinking about the future that comes to us from many different indigenous communities that look ahead to the world that their descendants will inherit. We want Hylo to always have a positive impact on our descendants and create a world that is livable for our children and their children. We do everything through relationship-centered design. So we work with our stakeholders, all kinds of different stakeholders, in order to develop Hylo in a direction that is needed by real communities that are taking action today. And we co-create with those communities. We have a practice of transparency. We want our decisions and our finances and our operations to be as transparent as possible. And that is something that we work towards. And our code, of course, because it's open source. Anyone can look at it and anyone can contribute to it. Interoperability is a big priority. And on that principle, we actually, through Tibet, are the convening members and leaders of the Collaborative Technology Alliance, which was started many years ago by Hylo co-founder Edward West. That is a group of collaboration tools that are themselves collaborating and figuring out how their platforms can weave together in ways that really serve the people using them. And on that note, sovereignty for people using Hylo is critical to us. And by that, we mean sovereignty over your own data. So we are not selling, renting, sharing, or using people's data in any way that the people using Hylo do not consent to explicitly. And I mean, we're not selling or sharing the data, period. Making sure that data, the power over that data stays with the people whose data it is critical. All right, so then inclusivity, we are building this with as many voices brought to the table as possible, and we want to continually expand the people who do have a voice in Hylo. So we are working on collective stewardship by our stakeholders and creating systems for our stakeholders to be submitting their ideas around features, around bugs, letting us know what's important to them and what they want us to build, and also what they want to contribute to Hylo as well. This is not a project for a select few to have control over. We see this project as a public utility that is meant to serve everyone that has a goal to improve the world in whatever way calls to their care.
Can I just add that part of inclusivity is being free?
Sure, totally. Yeah.
Big part of it.
Yeah. So on that note, Hylo is free to use, and it is our intention for it always to be free. We are creating a nonprofit structure to encapsulate Hylo right now. And again, we see it as a commons, a tech commons that everyone has ownership of. Some of the key partners that we're working with are the Bionutrients Food Association, NorCal Resilience Network, Pacific Integral, Sanitary Health Alliance, Holo. We have a partnership with Holo over the stewardship of this platform currently. And to this, I would obviously add Open Team, our main partner currently, with whom we are developing tools for regenerative agriculture and land stewards to engage in mutual aid. So what actually is Hylo? Here are the features. It is a web and mobile app that offers peer-to-peer resource cooperation through fulfillment of requests and offers, sharing resources, coordinating through projects and events. There are conversations that are sorted by topic, and there's private and group messaging, as well as a member directory, in addition to the Geographic Map as well. And there's tons of admin settings for the stewards of a group to curate the experience of the people using the group. And that's just a summary. There's so much more that we are building. And Hylo is in use right now. It has about 1,500 active users currently. There are 70 plus active communities, including the ones I just mentioned. Our largest community that is the Planetary Health Alliance community, has over 1,000 members. And our own open source community of people contributing to Hylo has about 400 members. So there are plenty of people using this platform to coordinate already. And this is the last slide, just a very high level roadmap about what we want to do. This is our product journey for the features that we want to be building into Hylo this year and in the coming years. And these are things that we're working on in close collaboration with the partners that I mentioned previously. So you can stay tuned on our roadmap. We're going to be publishing a more up-to-date version very soon. And always excited to hear feedback from our stakeholders and be in co-creation with anyone that is hearing this presentation one day. Yeah, thank you for listening to my TED Talk. My name is Claire. I'm a steward of Hylo. The end. Yeah, so that's a presentation that I've given to, I've done a number of conference talks at this point with that, as well as sharing to our stakeholders and for various other things. So that's a pretty up-to-date version of how I explain Hylo. Obviously, I'm sure there's lots of room for improvement, and I specifically asked Julia to watch that and take notes on how to improve the messaging. So yeah, hope that's helpful for all of you, and we'll be, of course, refining the message as we go. But without further ado, I'd love to turn it over to Tibet to give a deep dive demo of Hylo and share some of the latest and greatest features.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, I think for both that presentation and the demo, part of it, obviously, I think the way that Claire presented it was this is how we would tell the story to people outside. And obviously we want feedback, and I think there's a balance between what is the story of what is Hylo now, and then what is the vision and what we are trying to create, and getting more into the vision and the future and all of that fun, juicy stuff will probably happen more at the retreat in November. But when I do the demo, I'll try and I'll do both kind of the presentation of the current features as we share them with current people, interested parties, as well as talk a little bit about the future, which I usually do anyways when I'm presenting it to people. And also very interested in feedback. And this is a demo that Krisha will certainly be doing, and I'm sure others will at some point. So we can continue to iterate on and improve on it. And also, the main point here is for everyone here to know all the features of Hylo in as much depth as possible. So I'll do a little bit more detail than usual and try and cover everything. Okay. So yeah, I think I'll start here today. Start at the stream. This is the main homepage or landing page when you enter a group, except for when you enter the group the first time. When you enter the group, you first join a group, you end up on the Explore page, which I'll show in a moment. And then after that, the stream is kind of the default homepage. In the future, we want to make it possible to kind of customize per group and also per person what they want their home to be for their groups. But the stream looks very familiar. It's a lot like a Facebook feed or a Facebook group. It's just a stream of posts. If you click on a post, it pops up on the side. And you can get full details and the conversation. You can see this is a resource post. We have different colors for each of the different post types. Little known fact that the chakras are involved in the color choice. And as a moderator of this group, I can also pin this to the top of the stream. So it's the first thing that people see, or remove it from the group. And then anyone can flag it as inappropriate. And that will send a message to the moderators of the group to say, hey, someone flagged this post as inappropriate, decide what you want to do about that. So that's our current minimal form of moderation, but I think it's good enough for the scale that we're at right now. And you can also see the tags here, governance and community, and yeah, you can upvote. This is our version of liking. We are definitely talking about, I'm really excited about adding more nuanced reactions with different emojis. I think that's really important and will be coming soon. And you can see the groups that this has been posted in. And so this is one of the most unique and exciting parts of Hylo, the fact that a post can be shared to multiple groups at the same time and create a shared conversation, or, basically you don't have to copy and paste something to a whole bunch of different like Facebook groups or Slacks. You can choose all the different groups that you're interested in participating in this post. Actually, I realized that since I'm on production right now, I won't mess around with stuff. I might switch to my local environment sometimes because if I want to show things. But you can comment here. You can also, we also have nested comments, so you can respond to this comment in a nested way, and you can add images to your comments as well. These are some of the newer features that we've added. So let me close that. The other thing that is important to share about the stream is that you can sort by latest activity, which will put things that have recent comments or upvotes at the top, post date, or popular, which puts things that have the most upvotes at the top, which of course is going to be baby photos. And you can also filter by a particular post type. So if you only want to see events, you can do that. And we recently added this compact list view, which allows you to see a lot more information at once. Although you don't get to see the photos and all of that right away. These settings are actually remembered as you move around between groups. So if I, let's see, go to the Collaborative Technology Alliance, you can see I'm still on the stream. I'm still looking at popular sorted events in the compact list view, and it will remember across refreshes. But as you can see, I'm a part of way too many groups. But okay, come back to the stream. So if you want to create a post, you can do that right at the top. You can see, because I'm filtering by events, it will by default now say if you want to create an event. You can also then switch to a discussion, or all the other types we have: offers, requests, resources, and projects. And all of our posts have a summary, like title, and a description, and then up to 3 topics. So if I start typing here, the keyboard's not working.
Did you let Sequoia touch it?
It will autocomplete, and this autocompletes and shows you all the topics that are being used across groups that you're a part of, as well as how many people are subscribed to that. I think there's more work to do here to do some smart filtering and really highlight, like, okay, what are the things that are used most in this group? And we do have some features that can be set up by the moderators to improve on this, but this is something we want to keep working on, is improving the use of topics within groups. You can make a post public, and this will appear to anyone on Hylo, whether they're a part of this group or not, in a separate public section that I'll show in a bit. And then for resources and projects and events and asks and offers, there's a time frame. So this basically is like, when is this resource available between, is how we think of this time frame. And then location. And so this will autocomplete, using like a location finder tool or API. And so if you add a location, it'll appear on the map. And then you can add images and attachments. I'll show the image loader. So you can drag and drop things into here. You can also take photos directly from the camera or put in links or Instagram or Facebook. This is also an external tool that we use. And you can upload file attachments, currently only up to 6 megabytes, which people complain about, especially if they want to post videos, but it's too expensive for us to host large files right now. And so for things like videos, we ask people just put it in YouTube, put it on Vimeo, and put a link in the post. Actually, that reminds me, one thing that would be good to show is, if you put a link in here, it will do a link preview. It should be appearing right away. That's interesting.
Maybe .io is not one of the try .com.
I don't think so. It should work for anything. But yeah, so it'll put a little link preview like in Facebook at the bottom most of the time. And yeah, that generally
Announcements.
works. Oh yeah, and the final thing is, as a moderator of the group, you can send a post as an announcement. And so right now, so this will send an email and or a push notification to people's phones, depending on their notification settings for this post. Normally, people don't get notified by a single post. They get like a daily or weekly digest, again, depending on their settings, of all the new posts and content in a group. So this is meant to be used by moderators to say, this is really important. Everyone should pay attention to this. And announcements do also appear on the Explore page in a separate part, which I'll show right now. Oh, and there's one other way to create posts. There's a create kind of button up here in the top left. And so this allows you to pick the post type or create a group, which we'll go over in a bit. So yeah, the Explore page, as I mentioned, this is the first page that you land on when you first join a group, and then from then on, it's something you can continue to access. We call these views, these different pages over here on the left. So there's a welcome message. Because I'm a moderator of this group, you'll see these 3 dot menus that kind of let me edit how this page appears to people. So I can actually edit the welcome message. I can choose whether this this is also not working right now. Interesting. There's something weird going on in my computer. You're supposed to be able to choose whether the widget appears in this group.
Taking notes.
That is something that I've definitely used recently, though. That's odd. And that's it. That's about it right now. In the future, we want to be able to customize the order of the widgets and have more editing features. So, but yeah, so this shows a welcome message, any recently posted announcements, recently active members. So this actually tracks who signed in recently, and open requests and offers. Actually, that's something I should show for requests and offers. So requests and offers, you can see whether they're still available. This one ended because the timeline of it ended. This was the end of our crowdfunding campaign. But also there's a sort of manual button. Since I created this post, I can choose this is still needed, this is no longer needed, it was completed. Actually, I'm going to update that right now.
Yeah.
And it says completed. And so then it would no longer appear in the open requests and offers. Let's see a large conversation here. Oh yeah, one thing I also forgot to show is you can tag people in a post. And so this will notify them that they've been tagged in the post, well, just like Facebook. And you can do that in comments as well. You can also put hashtags in the post just by typing them, and that will then add it to the list of topics. Okay. Explore page. So yeah, open requests and offers, recent posts in kind of a different carousel view. These are the most used community topics, upcoming events. There's nothing upcoming right now in this group. And so right now we're looking at the Hylo network, and I'll kind of get to what that means in a minute. Recently active projects, and then subgroups within this group. I'll show a more detailed view of that in a moment. The projects view is not that useful or interesting right now. It's basically It's the same thing as filtering the stream by projects, but this will eventually become a much more interesting, sophisticated, like group project management tool in a way. Events is a little bit interesting and different. Oh, and it's interesting that this one's appearing here, but not in the other view. But this shows you upcoming events. You can also change it to show past events. So beginnings of the calendar, that we will eventually have like a full calendar view here as well. Member directory, see all the people. And if you click on a person, you can search by name or skill and interest. That's what these little, what are these called? Pills are. And you can also sort by name or location. And so by location, I'm actually not even 100% sure what that does now that I think about it.
Right, but if you look at the map for the group, you'll also see the numbers on the map.
Yeah, we'll get there. As you can tell, there's still some rough edges and bugs. That's one of the reasons why we're not in a growth phase yet. But here we are looking at the stunningly handsome Aaron Brodor of Berkeley, California. Someone needs to update their profile. You can see his skills and interests. We also have this section where people can put what they're trying to learn. We should actually hide this if they haven't used that. You can see what other communities they're a part of that are visible to you. These are all visible to me because I'm also a part of all of them. And you can add other affiliations, recent activity on the platform, and if depending on what people have added, they can put their email if they want to share it publicly, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. That's another little bug. And this is actually, you can block this person if you don't want to see them on the platform anymore. And you can message them. And so clicking here will bring up our direct chat message interface, which can be a little slow to load sometimes. Shouldn't be this slow though.
Your computer's working really hard right now.
And so I can message Aaron, and yeah, it's just like direct individual or a group chat. So here's one with Tom and Greg Ostick.
Wait, do you have the new one on localhost?
Aaron has been working on some new designs for the chat that look definitely better. You can get a little preview right here. It's more easy to see the chat box. Every aspect is improved. But in the interest of time, we'll keep moving. Then we have the groups Navigator. So I'm still in the Hylo network, and here we can see the other groups that are related to this group. And so we have this little graph, and so these are all the subgroups within the Hylo network. Our Hylo staff group, which is something we want to talk about using together more. Building Hylo is kind of the main group where we invite our community into using Hylo, to talking about Hylo together, to looking at designs. But yeah, so these are all the groups that are subgroups. If I click on one, so if I go into Building Hylo, you'll see that it actually, and this is a slightly controversial design choice. Right now it stays, when you jump around between groups, it stays on the current view. And so I'm still within the group Navigator, but now I'm in Building Hylo. And you can see that Building Hylo is a part of 2 groups, and there's 3 groups that are a part of Building Hylo. So this is what we call our Hellenic architecture, where you can have infinite nesting of groups within groups, and groups can have multiple parent groups as well. So Building Hylo is a part of the Hylo network. It's also a part of the Terran Collected network. And so one thing I did want to highlight is that if I go back to the stream, let me go back to the Hylo network. So as Tibet, who's a part of Building Hylo, when I'm looking at the Hylo network group, it is actually showing me all the posts that are also in the subgroups. Just me. It's sort of like the parent group is aggregating all the content within the subgroups, as well as showing the content that it's just posted to this group itself. We want to add a setting so you can kind of toggle back and forth between seeing just content from this group as well as content from children groups. But we think this is the most useful way to view data right now, and it means that parent groups have this feature of being kind of an aggregator. Then we have the map, as Claire showed a screenshot of. And so this shows members and posts that have locations as well as groups. And so it's showing the Hylo staff group as being located here in the area. As you zoom in and filter things, the little sidebar with the posts and members will filter. You can also filter by specific topics, although this will continue to show members right now, which is a little bit confusing. You can also filter by specific things. So if you don't want to see members, you just want to see posts, or you only want to see, events, you can do that. And you can also jump to a specific location, make it easier to move around the map. And you can also save a specific view. So this, if I name this view, it will save this map view as well as the current filters and create a view that you can jump back to in the future. And also you get emails about new posts within this view, kind of like in Zillow. If you're saving a specific set of filters and then get updates when there's new properties in those filters. I think this is a feature that is really powerful. As the map gets improved and more people start using it, I think it's going to be a really, really cool feature. And then finally, let's see. Oh, let's actually not. So we have finally the topics over here on the left. These are the topics that I am subscribed to in this particular group. So as you move around groups, this list will change, and it basically lets you filter the posts in the stream by this topic. Also, if I go to create a post, it will by default, sometimes, usually add. That's an interesting bug. I think I'm curious why that happened, because I just used this yesterday. It should bring up the post with that topic already added to it. Finding all the bugs. And see, this actually brought me to the all my groups section. I think it must be because I tried to create a post from within a topic in a parent group. I'm not sure. But actually that can, well, let me finish looking at groups for one moment. So we also have the right sidebar here with the kind of about text. As a moderator, group settings, listing the total number of members, a link to invite people, which I'll show in a moment, and then who are the group moderators. Right. Let's move to the navigation bar, which we were just in. So this is where you move between groups, or between contexts, we call them. There's two other contexts at the top, public groups and posts, which shows everything going on in Hylo that is public, regardless of what group it's in. And oh, interesting, yeah, it's at the top because it just completed it. It is cool to browse around here and see some stuff that other people are doing. You can see the map. There's definitely some issues still with the map that we are needing to sort out. Partly that it's slow, that's one of the main issues when there's a lot of content. But it also doesn't load all of the content right now. And so yeah, this is sort of like version 1 of the map. But you can see here, there's actually a lot of groups that have added themselves to the map, which is pretty cool. And so this is currently the only way to find public groups, and I'll show the group settings in a moment. But we will be adding a group and explorer directory soon. But it is a cool way to explore what's on Hylo and see what's happening that's public. Okay, public upcoming events. There's not a ton, because we have active users, but there's not like a hugely active community yet. And then all my groups shows you all the stuff across all your groups in one place. Right. Another thing that I think is really important that I want to add soon is the ability to pin and sort groups by different things, like what has recent activity or what are the most important ones for me, and put those up at the top. Before I jump into group settings, just to show the rest of the stuff in the UI here that's important. Search. This will search across all of your groups and public stuff for posts, for topics, for mentions of the word in the post, and you can choose if you want to look for discussions or for comments or for people based on stuff in their profile. Then there's the direct messages up here. You can see the most recent conversations and jump to the messaging, as well as a notification stream. So Rose Johnson just asked to join the Hylo network.
Yes.
Nice.
Finally.
Exciting. And you can see like what's just unread and mark your notifications as read. I'm going to actually jump on that and use that as a way to join, to look at the group settings. So, ooh, other people want to join the Terran Collective Network. We're not on top of our notifications. Boom. And so here you can actually see we have the ability to add questions when people request to join. All right, so let's look at the group settings for a moment. So you can add a banner image and logo. The logo will appear all around the app. Description, location, that's what decides whether to put it on the map. And then we have these pretty sophisticated settings for visibility and accessibility. So protected is the default, and this means that you can see this group in Hylo if you are a member of related groups. So if you're in a group that is connected to this group, then you can see it. Otherwise, you won't be able to find it. Public means anyone can see and find it. So right now, it just means it'll appear on the map, but we will soon have this directory. Hidden means it's completely hidden to anyone, so it's just a total private space. Accessibility applies, there's a number of interesting combinations. So the default here is restricted, meaning that people can apply. If they see the group, they can apply to join and they have to be approved. And then you can ask them they have to answer these questions as well when they apply to join. Open means anyone can join if they see the group. And closed means you could still see it potentially if it's public or protected, but you can't request to join even, you have to be invited. We also have some power user features here that were requested by the Planetary Health Alliance that are pretty interesting, although I think questionably useful for a lot of folks. Or there's different versions of this we might want to create. But we have the ability to set a prerequisite group, meaning, for example, if I'm in the Terran Collective, we can say you have to join the Terran Collective network before you can join the Terran Collective. And what will happen is when you go to see the join, it's too hard for me to set up right now in the demo of what joining looks like. But you'll see first click on this group and join that, and then come back here and join this. We also have the ability to set up when people first join a group, it pops up a little welcome message, and that can have certain skills and interests that are particularly useful or relevant to the group, and it asks people, do you have these skills or interests? And we also have the ability when you're requesting for your group to join another group as a child, it has to answer certain questions.
In order to have time for questions, do you think you can wrap up in just a few minutes?
Depends on how important we think going through all the features are.
Okay, maybe you can prioritize some of the most used and important features.
Sure. Adding moderators to a group. Topics, I think this is pretty important to know about. This is the place that moderators can have a little bit of control over how topics appear in a group, because anyone can add any topic, but a moderator can choose to hide that topic in the list of topics that people can subscribe to within this particular group. They can also pin the topic, which means it will appear at the top of the subscribed topics list if someone is subscribed to that. And they can add suggested topics. So this will appear, first of all, anyone who joins the group will by default be subscribed to this topic. And also it will appear at the top of the list when someone is going to add a topic to a post within this group. So it's kind of encouraging people to use certain topics within a group. Invite page, you can invite people by email and customize the email, or you can send them this link, and if they click it, they will automatically join. You can also see pending invites and accept them or reject them here. Or you can, resend them if someone hasn't accepted them. Different from a join request that you can accept here. Related groups, this is where we set up child groups and parent groups, or remove child groups and parent groups. exporting data, you can export the member directory as a CSV and includes the questions that they answered when they first joined the group. Here you can delete the group. I think that's it.
Did you do personal settings?
No, personal settings, we can run through really quick. Also, here's the topic subscribe view, which appears when you click on topics at the top of the topic list. And then, yeah, personal profile and settings. That just goes to my profile, and then if you click on edit profile, this actually brings you to the same place as settings. And edit profiles at the top. Tagline, about me, location, website, skills and interests, contact, email, and phone if people want to make that public. Connect your social accounts. Affiliations, or I'm actually changing the name of this to affiliations and groups because this shows you all the Hylo groups you're a part of and allows you to leave. This is something that people ask about. It's important to know about. And then people can also add custom affiliations to non-Hylo organizations they're a part of. Invites and requests to join other groups. You can decline invites. You can see if your requests have been accepted. It's a lot that goes on there. Notifications. So here people can choose if they want. By default, they get a daily email digest for each group, but they can also change it to weekly or never. And then notifications about new comments on posts that you're following that you created or commented on. You can choose to get by mobile app or email or none. And then for each group, you can also choose, do you want to be getting push notifications or email notifications? I'm going to turn this on for all groups. And so there's a whole set of notifications we'll have to go through another time. And same for messages, you can choose, do you want mobile notifications or emails? Here you can change your email and your password. And here's the saved map searches. I think that's it. The other important thing to know about is the feedback and support link, which brings up this place where people can find some documentation that Krisha is going to be dramatically improving, and or send us a message that we get through intercom that we can respond to. So this is the main place for people to file bug reports. And then they can log out, see our terms and privacy. Ta-da!
Yay! Thank you so much.
I'm sure there's small things that were missed, but
I took lots of notes on things that we can improve.
Great.
It's gonna be a hard act to follow.
We also have a mobile iOS and Android app that doesn't have all these features, but is getting closer, and Lauren's been doing some amazing work on it.
Yeah,
Thank you, Lauren.
It's so fast, Lauren. Good job. Rock on. Party hard.
All right, so we're at 11:53. That gives us a little bit of time for questions, and of course we can continue the discussion forever. So yeah, any burning takeaways, questions, things that came up for anyone for any of the content that we shared today?
My question, now that I've kind of gotten the tour, I'm like, maybe I could figure it out on my own. It's like, how do I find groups and join them?
This is a big component of the work we're doing right now.
Yeah. So the main way that people discover groups right now is via a direct invite from a group creator. Okay. And traditionally, that has been the only way for someone to access a group. Right now, it's also possible to find groups on the public map, and it's also possible to discover groups that are in relationship with the group that you're a part of via the group's view. And so that's a very limited way to discover things. But what we're going to be working on as part of our work with OpenTeam is creating a directory. So like a public groups directory that will show all the groups that are public or protected and willing to be discovered, and allow people to actually search for the kind of groups they're interested in.
So here I'm showing a group I found on the public map called Ikigaya, which is great.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It says anyone can join this group, so I could actually join this group.
Wait,
right now.
Join it.
Yeah, join the group.
Please join it. Look at their cover images. So.
And they have a big description.
So
this
now
is so
I'm
nice.
a part of Ikigaya, and let's check it out. Are they doing anything?
They're in Spain.
In Spain. nothing in the stream. So they haven't actually really used Hylo. But
See who the voters are.
We could reach out to them.
yeah, we could reach out to them.
Okay, my next question is, I have an account with my personal email and I have a Terran account. Can I combine them?
Yeah, that's what
Great
I really
question.
want that.
No, not yet.
Okay. So if I want to post, I'm having an event on Friday and I want to post to invite people, I just go through my personal one and go into the stream and make a new, or I go to create and do an event and do the details there, and then it gets posted to the public. And because I'm not a part of any groups, it may or may not be seen as much.
You have to, you can't post something outside of a group. Every post has to be within the context of at least one group. And it can also be shared publicly, but, or shared.
In my personal one, I'm not in any groups.
Right.
You may be able to create a public post.
You shouldn't be able to create one without a group.
No,
No.
because of moderation.
Yeah, that's danger zone.
Right.
So part of our moderation strategy that makes moderation really hard for other platforms is that when you post as an individual, it's like who takes responsibility for you and your behavior. But if every post is part of at least one group, then that one group that you're a part of, everyone in that group is responsible for your misbehavior.
I mean, obviously, you can still easily get around this by creating a group that's just you and then posting it to the public. But
Right.
we're trying to put in as much control as we can in this early phase to prevent crazy spammers and scammers.
So I could create a group that was like money conversations, and then I could invite people to that group.
Totally.
And then I could post in that group. Or because I'm only in creating Hylo, I could post to building Hylo.
Right.
Yeah.
Or both, one from my work email address and one from my personal email.
And the thing is, right
Yeah.
now, about posting publicly is that it, what that means is that it's public within Hylo. People who are signed into Hylo, looking at the map primarily. What we're working on right now and over the next 6 months, one of the things will be for each piece of content, whether it's an event like you mentioned or a discussion, if it's public, there should be a public way to access it.
Mhm.
Like Eventbrite or something.
Exactly.
Meaning I could share the link with you.
Right. And then a person who's not logged into Hylo or maybe not even a member of Hylo would still be able to view that piece of content.
Cool.
I was also just quickly showing if I'm in a group, and here's the Planetary Health Alliance that has 36 child groups, then I can see the child groups and see if I can join them.
Wow, that looks
But
good.
here's one where I have to join this one before I can join this one. I have to join all three of these actually. So they have a very complex network of related groups.
Does a group have to have a location attached to it?
It does not. But if you wanted to appear on the map, you need a location.
Okay, got it. So
And-
you could have like a group that's a worldwide.
Totally. And that's very common, obviously. And right now, locations are only addresses, which is an obvious limitation. And one thing that we hope to accomplish in the open team scope of work is allowing coordinates for locations.
As well as polygons.
As well as
Areas.
shapes.
Areas,
Yeah,
shapes.
areas.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because the goal is like place-based,
Mhm.
meaning we'll have different ways that people will interact with what place means and how it works.
Mhm.
But we definitely need a way for groups to be global as well as like this specific
Right.
piece of land here,
Mhm.
not this address or point.
Right.
And anyone can create a group.
Actually, we didn't go through the group creation. So if you create a group while you're in a parent group, actually I'm not a moderator of this group, so it won't work. But if I go to the Collaborative Technology Alliance, create a group. So by default it says this group is like a subgroup of the Collaborative Technology Alliance, but I can change that. And I can also add any other parent groups that I am a moderator of here. Set the URL, the name, and the URL kind of by default is automatically the name, but you can change that to whatever you want. And then the visibility settings and accessibility settings here.
Cool.
Yay!
So hidden and not public. What was it? There's public, hidden, and what was the other one? Private? The 3 settings for groups?
there are 2 dimensions
Uh-huh.
of 3 settings each. So
Okay.
there's the dimension of visibility and there's the dimension of accessibility.
Okay.
And between those 2 dimensions, you can really customize with a lot of granularity exactly how your group appears and who can access it.
Okay.
So sometime we could like make a chart of like what all of those things mean. That would be
We
a
have
really
that.
good exercise for the docs.
We have that in the Hellenic Architecture doc.
Yeah, perfect.
And the PHA HQ spreadsheet is a really great example of that being implemented because it has drop downs and all the different options.
Yes. Okay, so it's noon. The group that's in person should break for lunch. If there are any other questions that come up for everyone, please post in the Hylo channel on Slack. And we can keep the conversation going.
Yeah, and I think like I said, we're really excited to soon at the retreat. I'm assuming will be the best time. Get into more of the like strategy and visioning of the future. Like what are we trying to build here? Like this is what we have. A lot of this was built by other folks over many years, as Julia talked about yesterday. We've added a bunch of stuff with certain partners, but there is a big vision that we're working towards, and obviously is evolving. But really excited to like share what we've already have in mind, as well as get input and bring all of you into that process.
Yeah.
Yay.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see some of you later today.
Go team.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm still so